Hello everyone, this is the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage, and I'm making a video today on a maintenance or restoration technique that is really important for a machine that Singer produced in many forms, or I should say slight variations, over many decades. What you see in front of you is the Singer 185J. This was made in Canada, and while it has a green, sort of a pistachio green body, and it has a more angular style, this machine is actually the last version of the Singer 99, and it and the 185 are what were referred to as three-quarter versions of the venerable Singer 66. The Singer 66 was in production a very long time, going all the way back to the old red-eye 66 treadle machines. And all of these machines share something in common, which is, in addition to an unbelievable level of power and durability, they're like tractors. They're like the tractors of the vintage sewing machine world, I like to call them. And they all share a very similar, if not the same, shuttle and hook design. And of course they use the drop-in bobbins, which are class 66 bobbins, technically. Now, if you look at the undercarriage here, if you look under a Singer 66, it's going to look pretty much the same, only it's a little longer. It's not, again, it's going to be the full version. This is a three-quarter version in terms of its width, but it's essentially and mechanically the same machine, and it uses the same shuttle system. And the reason I'm mentioning all of this is that the little procedure that I perform on all of my restorations of this type of machine, or family of machine models, if you will, is going to apply whether you have, any of those models. And many of you who have vintage sewing machines will have, or have had at some point, that model. It's one of the most commonly found models, other than the Singer 15 class, in terms of its length of production. I mean, we're talking decades of production here. Many of these more, not necessarily the 185J, but the 66 was in production at least a half century, if not longer. I believe longer than that. And so you find lots of these machines all over the world. And I'm going to talk to you about a procedure that is important when you're restoring the machine. Again, this is not normal user or sewer maintenance. This is a overhaul or restoration procedure. Now, many of you who know this machine, sometimes when you find it and you're going to buy it or try to rescue it, you'll notice that very often it's bobbin plate is missing. And there's a reason for that. It has to do with how the plate installs. That's my theory on it anyway. And of course, normally what you will still see, of course, is your needle feed dog plate is actually still, this one has, this machine had both. Now, I'm going to zoom in here for you. There we go. And I want to show this to you. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off my sewing foot, my low shank straight stitch foot, which this machine came standard with. I'm going to take that off and get out of the way. I don't need it here. And it's just going to be in the way. And what we're left with, of course, is the feed dog plate. And I want to go ahead and remove that. You can use, you may have the vintage screwdriver that came with it. I find this little screwdriver tool very useful, so I can get underneath a sewing machine without, bumping into my presser bar or anything else that's right above there. But you don't have to have this, but I find it convenient. You can at least use this to loosen them, and then find yourself another screwdriver that would be helpful in getting them out. Once I get enough, I can actually do it with my fingers. Let's see. Since that's an awkward tool to hold, I'll just go ahead. Now that I've gotten them loose, I can take this screwdriver right here. Again, the screws are loose, and I'll just turn them enough to get them to where I can get them between my finger and thumb. It's usually the fastest way for me. You may have your own little ritual for doing that, but that's okay. And as I like to do with everything, when I have screws, I'm going to put them in my case, in the little lid of my my screwdriver tip tray. I always want to know where these things are, because things can go rolling around and you really don't want to lose them. You don't want to create more work for yourself. So I'm going to lift out the needle plate. There it is. Now I want to get in closer here for you. Okay, folks, I moved the camera. I wanted you to get a closer view here. So the next thing I want to do is take off my bobbin plate. Now, this bobbin plate does not come off the way some plates do. It comes off by moving it toward the center of the machine, like this. And then when it's reinstalled, there's a little butterfly clip here that the bottom tracks line up with. But when you put it back on, you put it back on backwards of the way you took it off. And a lot of people, for whatever reason, didn't do it, or they would set it aside. And a lot of times these poor machines, you end up getting them and you're like, hey, where's the bobbin cover? And it's either missing or it's in a drawer somewhere. But don't despair. You can get vintage ones. You can get even reproductions of these. But always look, when you see one of these machines, look in the case or the table. Be sure you always should check every drawer in a sewing table anyway when you're getting an old machine, and you will often find this. If not, you can get one. So never give up on the machine for something like that. Now, of course, this is the famous Class 66 bobbin, and of course this mechanism, you see this, there's a little cross-hatched round mini plate, and when I push on it, it pushes my bobbin up. So that made the bobbin easy to remove. And you folks have heard me talk about bobbins before. This is one of the original bobbins, beautifully machined and smooth. This is you folks hear me go on and on about getting the right bobbins for your machine. They're not expensive, and your machine will love you if you use vintage metal bobbins, not the new poorly made ones. Okay, now what you're looking at here is a shuttle mechanism. I'm going to turn the hand wheel and you can see it moving, I believe. Yes. I'm going to actually get you folks even further. I want you to get a little closer here. There we go. I really wanted you to have a nice close-up view of this. So what you're looking at is, on the left is the bobbin case. And the bobbin case, it's not maybe not be apparent at this point, but you can see how I can kind of move it. This design is not like the 201s where they would refine their 66 shuttle design. It's a different design. But this one, the bobbin case inserts, and it has sort of a, for lack of a better term, it sort of floats on top of the race. And the race is this big ring that you see oscillating. I say spinning, but it's really oscillating back and forth. And you see the feed dogs there moving. Now, this piece here was designed to move so that you could get your bobbin case out. And we're going to move it right now. I'm going to show you how that's done. There are different ways to do it. Again, you always want to go slowly and don't be overly rough. I'm going to come, let me get my arm over here. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put this end, and it wants to come toward me, okay? So I'm going to pull this toward me like that. See if that made sense. So it was here in this groove, and I gently pried it up, okay? And then I pulled it toward me. So now it's resting on the edge of the chassis here. What that's going to allow me to do is to take out my bobbin case. I'm going to do this without totally blocking your view there. There are different ways to do it. I can take my screwdriver. I'm not forcing this. I'm trying to I want to kind of grab a hold of it, and it should come out. And sometimes you have to wiggle and sort of dance with it. There we go, right there, okay? So what I did was, if you didn't see that, it was sitting in here and I kind of turned it counterclockwise, and part of this you're going to have to do by feel. This is one of those things that's very hard to both illustrate and describe both. But this is the bobbin case for the Singer 66, 99, and the 185, which is basically a 99 posing as an updated, cool pistachio green machine from the 50s. But those of you who know the 185 know it's really a 99, and that's a great thing. That's not bad at all. Now, I'll be showing you guys a cleaning procedure for this. It's pretty simple, and you can see on the very edge here, I don't know if you can see this, but there's some lint, some dust bunny lint that's built up on the side there, but that's going to be easy to take care of. I'm not worried about that. So now what do we have? We have essentially, I'll turn the hand wheel again, and you see the race, which is what our bobbin case rests on, is oscillating back and forth. Now, I'm going to shine a flashlight on here so that you can see what I see when I clean a machine. Now, the quick and easy way that some people take, the shortcuts they take, if you're lucky, and they tell you that they've worked on a machine, what they will do is they will take a lint brush, and they'll, if you're lucky, they often won't even remove the bobbin case, but they'll take a lint brush and they'll wipe out some of the lint. They might even take, if you're so inclined, you can take canned air. That's useful. I had a bunch of dust bunnies in here when I first got this machine. I opened this up and looked at it, and it was essentially just full of dust and old lint. That's normal. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong. Just somebody didn't clean their lint. Oh, okay. That's something that can be remedied. So, and then another thing you can do, of course, is you would take a cotton swab with alcohol and you can clean this surface. You can certainly do that. You can see what I'm getting off of here. However, if you really want to restore and overhaul this part of the machine, and this is crucial, this is where your bottom stitch is formed, you can remove the race, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. There's also something particular to all of the machines that share this mechanism. They have an oiling wick, and in this case the wick is used to feed oil, not grease. I've shown you guys in my motor series recently how to change grease wicks, but this wick is for oil. And this is why I always say it depends on the machine, and even not just the brand, but the machine and the model series. So, how do I know that this was designed to be removed? If we take the machine and we tilt it up, you will see how I'm going to do this. Got a little cushion I want to rest the machine on so it's not totally stressing its hinge pins there. So you are now looking at the bottom underside of the race. This is the shuttle race of the machine, and now you see it oscillating back and forth, and you can see this on your machine. All you have to do is lift the machine up. But when you come over to the left side, lo and behold, there is a screw. Now, typically, I tell my customers there are only two screws you normally ever want to access under the machine, and those are the screws that attach the machine to its hinge pins if you ever have to remove the machine from its table. But there are exceptions. Now, if you're not sure or you don't remember, you can always check and look for a service manual for Singer sewing machines. That would be awfully useful. Now, you saw me use a screwdriver like this when I was loosening already loose screws on the needle plate. But I'm not going to use this. As I've told all of you, tapered screwdrivers are not good to use when you're trying to get a screw loose. And so I'm going to go back to of course, my screwdriver tips. You guys hear me talk about them all the time, how much I love them, how much they have saved me from damaging sewing machine screws. Okay, this is the one I want. This is the one that will fit. And I could either take the handle on this or I could use the ratchet. I think I'll use the ratchet today. Just makes it a little easier for you guys to see. So I get and this particular screw did not fight with me. It was in a cooperative mood, shall we say, because I haven't loosened it yet. Now I'm going to turn this screw, and I'll keep turning it. Now, I could keep turning it, but I don't have to turn it all the way out. I can literally leave it right there. I should be able to. Now, that screw is important because that screw is what is essentially going to hold onto the race and it stabilizes it. Now let's come back here for a moment. And I want to go back and show you something else that has to come off of the machine before we can take the race off. Other machines have ways to get the feed dogs off, and they often have screws that you can remove from above, which is very nice. Well, this design goes way back. The feed dogs are removable, but they do not remove in that easier access. So in order to remove the feed dogs, I'm going to have to go underneath the machine, and there is a special bolt and a way to remove the feed dog. So if you'll be patient with me, I am going to try to set this up. I've got to go under the machine and get light there so you can see what I'm doing. It's not hard, but it's just one of those things where that's how they work and this is how they come apart. But I'm going to take the feed dogs out because I want this whole race area and shuttle to come out of the machine, because we're going to take a look at it and I'll show you why it's important to do this. Again, this is a restoration maintenance function. This is not part of normal maintenance. So if you own one of these machines and you're not restoring it, you're just wanting to take general care of it, don't worry, you don't have to do this. Sometimes I worry that people are concerned that vintage machines are super high maintenance, and they're not. Actually, they're very low maintenance once you've had them overhauled. Okay, so let's get the machine. We're going to go and look underneath. Okay, guys, I've moved the camera so you can see this. Now, underneath the undercarriage of the machine, there's a bolt. You'll see a rivet here, and then right here, let's zoom in again for you so you can see. Right here, just above this rivet, is a bolt, and that bolt holds in sort of a sleeve way the feed dog, and the feed dog adjusts right here where I'm putting my. You can see where I'm putting my screwdriver tip right there. That, where I got the screwdriver tip, that's the base of the feed dog, believe it or not. So what I'm going to do, hopefully without creating too many earthquakes here because it's tight, I'm going to get in here and I'm going to loosen that bolt. And it came loose. It didn't fight. And who knows how long it's been sitting there. And now, just with my hand and without the ratchet really needed, I'm going to come in here and finish loosening the bolt. And that bolt acts, I say bolt, it's really a screw, and it acts as a set screw. And now, when I push here, which is again the base of my feed dogs, when I push up, notice that bolt moved. It looks like it's still holding on to my feed dog, so I'm going to have to loosen it a little bit more. Now that bolt will come out. So watch for it in case it drops. You will need this again, okay? So I've taken the bolt out. And I will go over how to reinsert this because you have to set your feed dogs a certain way, and there's a way to do that. We'll cover that. Now, I'm going to push at the base of the feed dog. It no longer has that bolt, and it is going to be waiting for me. And now I can pull it right out. So I now have the feed dog out. Okay, now we are to the point where we are going to get ready to remove the entire race. So you come under here and you will see, you can still see where I loosened the bolt. I think you can see it right there. Now, I want this piece to come out. And very often it's going to stick. It's going to be a little bit, remember it's been there for a while. And I need to remove, first I need to remove this section right here. Okay guys, what I've done is I've taken that bolt on the side and I've loosened it more. It's now sticking out more than it was before. And it is holding in what is essentially a bracket that keeps our, come on there, it keeps your bobbin case in place, and it also provides the wick function that you'll see once I get it out. Sometimes you want to coax it out a little bit, and again we're doing this gently. The idea is to, because it sits down, there we go. I don't know if you saw what I did, but I got under it with my little tool here. And it's going to come straight up. And you may need to coax it a bit. Remember, it's been sitting there a while. And you want to get that side bolt loose enough so that it's no longer holding it in place. And out it comes. And there you go. I have just taken this piece out, and you think, well, why did you have to do all of that? I wanted to correct something. I mentioned to you all about the race. The race does not come out for the purpose of this procedure. I wanted to clarify that. What I'm actually removing is this piece that has the bracket. It controls the bobbin, and it also has a spot for the wick. And we're going to put that wick into place, and we're also going to clean this. The other thing this does is this gives us access, this little rod here, this is what was holding it. It actually has a hole here that it inserts into, and then the set screw that you saw me loosening was holding this in place. So now, when you take a look in here, you can really get a look at all the dirt and the grime. It's a combination of sewing machine oil, old lint, and I'm going to take, once again, as I mentioned to you all, restoring sewing machines means going through lots of cotton swabs, keeping them in business. So what I want to do, I've already taken my brush, by the way. You want to start, always get the loose stuff off of your machine first, right? You want to go in and make sure any of that loose dust is out of there. And then I'm going to take, of course, my alcohol. I think I need to zoom out a little bit there. And I'm going to take the alcohol and I'm going to go in and make sure I'm getting all this old oil and built up lint off of my working machine pieces. And you may want to shine a light down in here because you want to make sure that you're not missing any of this stuff. The purpose of this is not to polish this thing. What you're really wanting to do is clean it because it's not easy to get to with the little bracket I took out. And if I swing it around, I can now get to the other side. Okay. Then I'm going to take another cotton swab and I'm going to address an issue here. I'm going to bend my cotton swab in kind of an L shape. And look what I'm going to do. I'm going to get under the rim of my race here. And I want to do this to be able to get to, without getting in the way of your seeing this, I want to get here and hold that cotton swab in place so that I can get some of the grime out from under there. Because remember, this is where your bobbin case lives, and it needs to kind of, it needs to slide on this surface. Now I'm going to come in, let's see if I can come in from the other side here and do this effectively and not have my fingers block your view. So I'm going to get under the rim, and then I'm going to very slowly turn my hand wheel. And as I do, the race is going to oscillate around my cotton swab. And you can see all the grime and the goop, if I put it in the right place here, you can see all the stuff that's coming off here. So that's what I'm going to do with this, guys. I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to clean the underside of the rim. And of course, I want to make sure I don't have any grit or grime on top. I normally don't, but I just want to make sure I don't. Okay. Now, once you have gotten all of this horizontal surface here cleaned, right, and turn your hand wheel and let it oscillate so you can get all of these little areas. Now, if there's any place that you should always be extra conservative with sewing machine oil, it is here. Your manual will tell you that you need to apply oil, sewing machine oil, to this area, but you want to do so sparingly. Of all the places, this is the most sparing spot you want to be. Now, I'm going to take one drop, and I mean one drop, of sewing machine oil. I'm going to put one drop right here in the center, that little hole right there. Now, you say, oh, that's kind of a blob. We're going to go in and clean behind ourselves. Okay? First thing I'm going to do is slowly turn the hand wheel and let the race oscillate. Like that, or the shuttle, I should say. Okay. Now, I'm going to take and put one drop right here. And the reason is that, the reason for this is, I moved the camera so you could see one drop right here. Okay. Now watch when I move the hand wheel and she oscillates, that little space is now going to have a little film of oil. Now, oil is a magnet for dust, and this is why I originally said, hey guys, we want a little. So now we need to go back and mop up any excess oil. We don't want to drown this area with oil. In fact, now that we've gotten it in the little spaces it needed to be, I'm now going to go back and take a cotton swab, and I'm going to put a little rubbing alcohol on it, and I'm going to use that alcohol to then clean up any excess oil that I got on these other areas, because I don't need the oil there. I just needed it where the metal was moving against metal. By the way, this is not the spot where I mentioned to you there's a wick we're going to put in here that's going to feed oil, and it's actually going to lubricate both the top and the underside of this rim. But that's going to be, we're going to do that in a little while, and you can see I'm still getting grime here from underneath that rim. That's a place where it likes to hide. And again, we're going to do this so that when this machine is ready to be used by its new owner, it's going to be running, it's going to be humming very efficiently. It's not going to have to fight with all this goop and grime that often gets left there. Again, the machines are very forgiving, but we want to, give the machine a break. Let it do what it was designed to do. So that's it, folks. I have actually wanted to cover this, show you how to remove the feed dogs, how to remove this wick and bobbin case bracket, and we've taken that out. We've cleaned this area, and then we've applied sewing machine oil in a very strategic part of it. Okay, and then we've gone and we've cleaned up or mopped up the excess oil, because it's very hard to control sewing oil, and I know that. And take a little alcohol and clean up the oil that got in areas we didn't need it, and that's important. So that when you start sewing with this machine, you inevitably get lint, but you don't want a massive fly. You don't want fly paper for lint, right? You don't want the lint to automatically stick here, and that's part one of this, guys. I wanted you to see this come apart. It was designed to, and in the next part of the video, I'm going to show all of you the procedure for reinstalling the. Where is it? It's hiding from me. Come here. We're going to reinstall this piece, and we're going to put in a new oil wick. And I'll show you how I had to fabricate a new oil wick. I haven't found them for sale anywhere. And I'll show you what the oil wick is, how it works. But the first thing we'll do in the next video is get this little piece cleaned up. It's tough, but it's dirty, and it would really appreciate some cleaning and getting it ready for a new life of sewing. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. I hope this is helpful. This again is one of those areas that is really important when you're overhauling or restoring any of the Class 66 machines that use this mechanism. I appreciate you watching, folks. Take care and look for the next video. Bye now.